Hey guys, it's Bear here with Journey to Preparedness, helping you prepare not for your doomsday, but your everyday. So on podcast number 33, I reluctantly talked about the coronavirus. And the truth is, it wasn't really something that I necessarily wanted to cover, just because I believe that it is, while I understand it's a health risk, and the level in which it can be spread is an issue. It's not the deadly pandemic that the media is making it out to be. We have had far worse come through, and much scarier stuff, Ebola and things like that, that have a higher death rate and can cause a lot more harm than this that we've had to deal with, that have had a lot less made of it. I understand that this spreads rapidly, it spreads easily, but it's no different than, I shouldn't say it is different than a flu. I understand it is a higher death rate, 3% versus the flu 1%, but the truth is it's a respiratory virus that is going around, that 60% of people who have gotten it have recovered. So it's, that's just the numbers right now in the early stages. And while the death rate is at, 3, I think last time I checked, it was like 3.7% roughly, based off the numbers that are coming in through the World Health Organization. The problem is that majority of those people that have died are elderly aged people who or even if they're not of an elderly age, not that that's saying it's okay, just you got to understand the circumstances. So they're either elderly and or have a pre-existing condition such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, other things that make their immune system at a weakened state, that weaken their immune system already. So their body's already dealing with something, and then they've contracted this coronavirus, and then that's what leads to death. It's no different than the flu in that sense, that flu deaths, while the numbers are astronomical annually, the truth is that a lot of the majority of the people who die from influenza are people who have a weakened immune system due to a previous condition. So it's not like they just get the flu and die. It's, they're elderly, which leads to a weakened immune system, or, they have, cardiovascular disease, heart disease, diabetes, and then they get the flu. Well, that death is attributed to the flu numbers versus, heart disease, and it could be both. I'm not exactly sure how the medical world is reporting it, but the truth is that those numbers are taken into influenza deaths, and the same can be said for this coronavirus. What we should be really concerning ourselves with is how easily we are being quarantined and how easily we are being controlled as a society. That's what should scare us. The fact of the matter is that right now, if you listen to the podcast, which hopefully all of you are, but if you're listening to my podcast, you'll understand, and you'll hear me say at that time of the actual recording of the podcast, which would have been last week Wednesday. Usually I do the podcast on Wednesday, and then early the following week I put out the video versions. And now you get a little bit of an update from that. But last week they were just starting to shut down, NCAA conference tournaments. And since then, they've actually shut down the whole tournament. The whole tournament has been shut down. Major League Baseball is pushed off at the start of its season. The NBA is shut down. Hockey is shut down. Soccer, MLS is shut down. Schools are closing. They're actually now starting to, shut down businesses. And restaurants are not allowed to serve in-house. They're allowed to do delivery or takeout, which really doesn't make any sense to me, because if a delivery person is going to deliver food to your house and you're sick, they're coming in contact with you, which then gives them a chance to get sick, and then that person goes to the next house and delivers the next meal, and then that, so it's still going, it still can be contracted and still can be spread that way. But that's what's going on, and we're accepting that as a people, and that should be the thing that scares us. And while I understand they say they're doing it to stop the spread of this, there's a lot of things that they'll say they're willing to do, in the health and safety of the public, right, for the greater good. How long are we willing to accept that? And how easily are we willing to accept that? The media has taken this far further than they took a lot worse things that have happened. And now there's theories about, because the media is run by the left, that, it's because Trump is in office and they're trying to make him look bad by, and whatever. It's the next thing that they're feeding us to get us in a frenzy. And the media does it all the time, and now they're just getting worse at it. Or getting more extreme to it, getting better at it, I should say, from their standpoint, and worse for us. And we're feeding into that. And now the government is feeding into it. And my theory is that this is a test being put on by those in charge. Not only those running the media, but the government. They're testing us to see how far they can go and we're willing to accept if they do it in the name of the health and safety of the public. They're doing it for the greater good. All right? That's what we should be concerned with. The willingness to control, and how long are you willing to stay in that quarantine? How long are you willing to stay at home? Now it went from a couple weeks to now I just seen a report they're talking 8+ weeks that government wants to keep less than 50 people from gathering together. 8 weeks. I mean, they just keep going and going, and they're pushing and pushing. And I understand that this is something that we need to take a little more serious than the flu or anything like that. But at the same time, we're putting ourselves in a state in which we are easily controlled and easily manipulated, and that's what should scare us as a people. The control, again, in the name of the health and safety of the public, right? We're trying to keep people safe, right? What happens when all of a sudden the you're not allowed to come out of your house or leave your lawn? You have to stay in your home or on your property, and you're not allowed to leave unless unless the authorities tell you can, and they know where they know where you're going and lead you to where you're going, and then you come back and you're only allotted so much time. How long are we going to be willing to accept that? When police are patrolling up and down the streets and the military is being activated and they're patrolling, and for everybody that's pro Second Amendment that says the police and the police officers and the military will never come and take our guns, they're not even trying to take your guns at this point. If they're in their minds, they're thinking they're doing this for the greater good of the people, and you try to leave. Do you think they're not going to stop you? Right? It's not that they're coming into your house to take your guns. Now they're just doing it so you don't get sick or get somebody else sick, because it's for the greater good, the health and safety of the public. Right? And I know I keep saying that, but just let that sink in. How long are you going to stay in your home? And when you try to leave and they don't allow you to, and they use force to forcibly put you back in your home, or forcibly take you into custody because you tried to leave your home when you were on quarantine, right? What are you going to do then? And don't you think these, again, they may not come and take your guns, but they will surely toe the line and fall right in when they're told that they're doing this for the greater good of the general public. They're doing this to control and stop the disease, the spread of the coronavirus. Or the next pandemic that comes across, right? This is the start. And this will curtail, and it'll get better here shortly. Probably a lot quicker. It's going to happen quicker than they're saying, than the timeline they're giving. But they're extending this timeline continually to make it look like, hey, look, it stopped quicker than we thought it was going to. It's because of all these measures we took, and we got everything. You guys stayed home, you did this, we shut this down, we did that, and now we stopped it way before it spread to everybody, and it became a major pandemic, and we had, 1918 Spanish flu results, all right, all because of you. You pitched in and you helped out. And now next time they come up with something else that's a pandemic, and now they control you further, and they just slowly keep putting in more and more control, and we keep accepting just a little bit more each time, a little more each time, and now that we're scared, right, we're willing to do it even easier. That is something we should be thinking about. That is what should concern us with this whole corona, this COVID-19, right? That's what we should be talking about. All right, just food for thought. Think about it. Let that sink in a little bit. Again, this has been Bear, Journey to Preparedness, helping you prepare not for your doomsday, but your everyday. Peace.